So, hello there. I'm back on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. I'm U.S. immigration attorney Sharifa Tharp. I'm here to answer your questions. I was on Instagram a few minutes ago, but we got disconnected because of the signal issues. I'm back. So put your questions in the comments. Thanks so much for the love on Instagram, and I appreciate you rejoining the live on TikTok. Put your questions in the comments. So earlier I was talking about VAWA, and it's not VAWA isn't just about applying for your green card and your work permit based on a marriage where you're being mistreated. It also can include a situation where you're being mistreated by a U.S. citizen or permanent resident parent or an adult citizen son or daughter who's age 21 or older. But the question did come up from someone, a very good question came up about the fact that they got married, then the spouse starts to mistreat them and even set them up to be reported them to police or to be arrested by police. And that's where I also want to caution you about situations like that, because I've seen it multiple times and it can be devastating, where you are married to a US citizen. It could even be a parent or an adult citizen child as well, but the most common scenarios I see it in is when you're married to a US citizen or a permanent resident, and they're mistreating you. They're the ones that are doing the mistreating, but then eventually they start to threaten to call ICE, or they start to threaten to call the police to get you into trouble. Whenever you hear threats like that, please believe it, because I have seen they actually follow through eventually with a threat like that, and it complicates the client's case drastically, because now you have an arrest that we have to explain. And usually in situations like this, the arrest is involving some form of domestic violence, and domestic violence can be seen as a serious, a deportable offense. So now, instead of just applying for a VAWA process that you would have full control over, we are now also possibly trying to defend you against being deportable. In order to avoid that, jump ahead of it. If your spouse is threatening, if you hear them, they're threatening to call ICE on you, threatening to report you to the police, believe them and come up with a plan. First of all, the number one plan, urgent plan, is to get yourself out of that situation. Do not share that space with that person any longer. If you can, leave that place, right? One of you have to leave, because it just keeps escalating, right? And then you're the one that end up on the losing side of the process. The other thing, though, is you come up with a plan, and that's where you can consult with us in a confidential appointment. You can call now, because my schedule is filling up. We can talk about your situation and strategize on how we're going to move forward in a way where you have full control over your process, and your spouse can be removed from the process if they were even part of the process to begin with. Keep in mind that the process is confidential. So even when you apply to immigration, they can never contact your spouse to get your spouse involved. That's prohibited by law. And that's what makes this process in a way for you to retain control and maintain your safety. So keep that in mind. Please take heed. If they're talking about threatening you in any way, talking about they're going to withdraw the papers, they're not going to file the papers, they're going to call ICE, they're going to call the police on you, believe them, because they eventually do follow through with it. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to questions. I have a B1, B2 visa. I'm married. My sister is a U.S. citizen and just filed for my mom. Can my mom file for my AOS? She just did her biometrics. What timeline do I have to get my green card? No. So your mom cannot file for you until she's actually a green card holder. But the other thing is, if you're the age 21 or older, worse if you're married, your parent, if you're married, your green card holder parent, when she becomes a green card holder, will not be able to apply for you to get your papers. If you're unmarried, it's still going to be up a 7 year, upwards of 7 years to get your papers. And keep in mind, if you're here in the US and you end up overstaying that B1, B2, you're not going to see the green card, right? There's going to be a lot more complications. You have to do what's called an I-601A waiver. And in the meantime, be unprotected, unable to work, and face the possibility of being deported before your I-601A can even be decided. So this is where, guys, I say it's very important to consult an attorney. I've had a number of appointments just this past week where people have told me about the mistakes that they've made in their process that has set them back big time, has created irreversible damage in their immigration process. So do not, before you file anything, get an attorney. Don't file first and then try to figure out where the mistakes are. Because once mistakes are made, especially in eligibility issues, it can be devastating. Do you guys work with, I think that's VAWA. I see AWA denial. I'm not sure what that is. I'm assuming that's VAWA, but we do. No, we are an immigration law firm. If you're having immigration issues, give us a call and we'll talk you through, we'll strategize on whatever issue you're facing. I want to hire an immigration lawyer to stand for the K1 visa interview. Give us a call and let's talk about it. We do attend clients' interviews. Preferably, we like to we attend the appointments of our clients who we file their cases, but we'd be more than happy to speak with you to figure out if we can jump in and assist you there. All right. Great questions so far. Keep putting those questions in the comments. Please, what is your contact number? I'm going to put the number in the comments section. It's going to be under Immigration Lawyer Sharifa. Go ahead and call that number and the staff will help you to book your appointment. We are very busy. And we are working very hard to help as many people as possible. But our schedule is filling up and our case files are filling up, which means that eventually it becomes limited. So get in touch with us. We'd love to help you and you act now and we possibly can help you. All right. So look, you see the number, call right now, guys, and we have staff on hand to help you book the appointment. The person just got a divorce. Okay, so let's see. The person just got a divorce from the abusive spouse. The marriage only lasted 1 year. She was married for 6 years, but have 2 children in the marriage. That's not his. The spouse was moved out though. So you can be married for a day and still file for VAWA. So there's no time limit on VAWA. Because think about it, if you got married to someone and say as soon as they're great, and then as soon as you got married, the next day they start to abuse you. Nobody should be sitting in an abusive situation. It is your right to walk away as soon as you identify the mistreatment and the abuse. So that means that you can then walk away a day later and apply for VAWA, right? If you experience mistreatment. So there's no time limit. It's important to know that. Any update on the 75 countries immigrant visa pause? How can you help someone from the country to get their immigrant visa? So the immigrant visa pause is still in place. However, pause does not mean banned. Pause does not mean you're ineligible for the immigrant visa. It's important you understand the difference. The pause means that they're not going to do a final approval on the immigrant visa until the pause is lifted. So, in the meantime, still make sure you're doing your filings, you're submitting your applications, you qualify, you make sure you submit your petitions as usual, or else you can actually end up disqualifying yourself, pulling yourself out of the running for the benefit by not applying on time. After receiving notice that biometrics have been reused and applied to my case, how long does it typically take to receive the work permit and advance parole? Go to uscis.gov, you'll see the processing times there for each. Can file for VAWA still if you have child during the marriage that's not for your abusive spouse. Yes, that is a possibility. Things happen. For example, here's a scenario: you're in an abusive marriage, and you either get separated, or due to the abuse, you end up, emotionally or physically going somewhere else, finding somebody else in the marriage because you're being mistreated or abused, and then you end up having a child. Right? That is a valid explanation as to why you have a child while you're still in the marriage. Right? You were mistreated, and that led you to possibly step away from the abuse or mistreatment. It's not to say that you should go and say all of that. It has to be true, of course, and it has to make sense, legally true and legal. So this is where it's important to give us a call. But there are extenuating circumstances in every case. Keep in mind that the dynamics in a marriage and situation like that, it is complicated. It's not black or white. It can be gray, and there can be various explanations for factual circumstances. So this is where it's important to get the help you need to sift through it, see if you do qualify, see where you need help in arguing that you still qualify for VAWA. Can a child sponsor his father who signed her birth certificate and didn't find out he was her dad until she was 15? So that's complicated. It's possible, but we'd have to talk to figure out the circumstances. Oftentimes, when we have a child who's out of wedlock, then it comes down to showing the bona fides. Yes, there is showing the bona fides of a parent-child relationship where the parent isn't on the birth certificate. Then it's about showing, was the child legitimized before as a minor, were they legitimized through support from the parent, the father in this case, through a bona fide relationship. So it's very fact based. So we'd have to talk to her and figure out what was that relationship like. Do they still issue BFDs and work permits for T visas? Yes, we are getting those. They continue to come in. Yes. I was asking if you do Adam Walsh denial. So there are waivers for the Adam Walsh denial. So yes, give us a call. We'll talk about it, and then we can talk about a strategy regarding any applicable waivers. I'm on Instagram now. What if you file single 1 year and want to get citizenship through marriage? Can that be fixed? So that's very specific, and that's where you need to have an attorney. You can always amend your taxes, but does it make sense? Is that even necessary? At that point, this is where you call us, schedule an appointment, and let's actually talk through it on an individual basis. If I took voluntary departure and was married to a US citizen but got divorced, can I still file? Give us a call. Let's talk about it. In the case, in certain cases, you took voluntary departure, but you were married to a U.S. citizen, and if you got divorced and the divorce was based on mistreatment, extreme cruelty, abuse, then there could be a possibility of still being able to stay here and getting your work permit and green card. But we have to fully understand what's going on here. Are you Did you already get voluntary departure? Are you in the middle of a court case right now where you're seeking voluntary departure? Now, if there was no mistreatment and you just got divorced, then you can't come back based on the US citizen spouse. But it's all going to be based on the facts and circumstances. All right, I'm on TikTok. So I see tons of questions coming in. I passed the citizenship exam in 6 months. I called USCIS and they haven't told me anything. Why? So I don't know which country you're from. There have been some pauses on some applications. Other than that, I'm not the attorney on your case. I wouldn't be able to give you specifics. Is one DUI case affect someone's VAWA pending case? Not usually, but keep in mind that they are looking, they have to consider good moral character. And good moral character involves them looking at your criminal record, looking at, do you have a criminal offenses in your background? If you do, you still have to show good moral character. So it's not as simple as just saying no, but you have to work through it, right? To ensure that it's, despite the DUI, the one DUI, you can still show your good moral character. I had my green card for 45 years. What is the next step if I want citizenship? So you can submit your N-400 and evidence of showing that you meet the requirements for citizenship. So continuous presence, continuous residence in the United States, good moral character. You've clearly had your green card from 45 years, so you've definitely passed the timeline to get the citizenship. And then you have to pass the test, the reading, writing test. Can I get married to someone with a criminal record? Yes, but here's where it's important for you to consult an attorney before doing anything, before making such a huge decision. If you're worried about how is it going to affect your immigration, it's time to talk to us and let us talk through your particular situation and be able to advise you in a strategy session. I filed I-90 for my daughter and got denied, and she's a 10-year green card holder. What does that mean? So usually they'll state the reason for the denial in the letter, so you should wait for that denial letter. Thanks so much for the love. We're at 3.8K likes. Thanks so much, guys. That means that other people will see the live and they have access to information that can empower them. That's the point of this, is to empower immigrants, especially during this time. Hi, how long is the EAD attached to VAWA is taking? I just got a prima facie after 11 months. Go to uscis.gov and you can look at case processing times. Husband got deployed before the interview, just gave birth. Oh, congrats. And yeah, it's hard. You gave birth, but your husband also got deployed. So it's a double-edged sword there. But I don't see the rest of the question. if you're called in for an interview, they may accommodate you. So they may accommodate you in that your spouse can come in on a call, or they may waive the spouse's attendance. So that is something that they would allow in your case. Can you go to a filing interview without doing your medical report? So the medical, I would say this: you need to go to your interview, right? But if you don't have the medical report, the sealed medical report, it can lead to a delay in your case. So you don't want, you don't want a delay. But if it's at all within your control, make sure you're bringing the required documents so that the officer can make a very expeditious decision. Not bringing something that they're telling you to bring is going to lead to a delay, and delays could mean anywhere from 2 weeks to a year if you do not carry the documents in. It's been 16 days since our green card interview. How long do you think we're gonna have to wait? So it could be months. What happened if you don't have much evidence for VAWA? So this is where I say don't count yourself out. Talk to us and we can determine, because a lot of people think they don't have evidence and they have plenty of evidence. One piece of very important central evidence is your statement. It's called a declaration. That can be accepted as evidence, especially where you don't have much else because of the abuse or the fact that you were so limited in getting additional evidence. So don't count yourself out. A declaration, your statement detailing what you remember can be enough in some cases. Opening an out-of-state LLC with pending green card through asylum, any problems? Well, that's more of a business. You can ask your business attorney. What happened if you don't have much evidence for VAWA? Okay, so I answered that. Seeing that to file for my sibling takes a while, can I apply for them to pay work tax? So immigrants here can apply for what's called an ITIN, and the ITIN allows them to pay their taxes if they're working. Is it advisable for a green card holder to apply for IRS forgiveness program? So keep in mind, if it's permissible under the law, it is okay. Usually what immigration wants to see is that you've complied with the requirements to pay taxes, or that you've worked with the IRS to settle it. So it can be acceptable. I don't know your case. I'm not your attorney though. So this is very specific. That's where we need to talk, because what does that mean exactly? The IRS forgiveness program, what does it mean for you? What happened in the past that now has led to this point? We need to understand the full picture as well. I applied for I-751 on September 2024, but I didn't receive anything. Is that normal? Did you receive the receipt notice? Usually you'll receive the receipt notice and an extension letter. And then the extension letter is about 4 years. And then a decision can come later on. If you've received the receipt notice, at least with an extension letter, and then you haven't received anything since, that's pretty normal, unfortunately, with these case types. And that's why they give a 4-year extension, because of the length of time it's taking. If I'm not getting help to remove the conditions, how do I go about it and help my daughter who overstayed? get in touch with us. That's what we do. There are special waivers that can allow you to apply on your own if the spouse is not moving forward with helping to remove the conditions. So this is where I say, get in touch with us, talk to us, so we can determine the best course of action. But there are ways to do it on your own without involving the spouse. First wife got fraud divorce. Now now we're screwed. After 4 years of the process, now what? This is definitely, talk to us. We would like to speak with you to figure out whether there are alternatives, whether I don't know if you're really screwed. Maybe you're not. It's we have to really look at the details first to be able to come to that conclusion. Please, an application was submitted in February this year and biometrics in March, but nothing yet from USCIS. So it sounds like you got something, because you got February, you did you filed it, you got biometrics. That sounds like something. USPS lost my work permit card. What should I do? That you can apply for a replacement card. I have a green card and want to file for my child. How long do you think it will take? So go to processing times. You'll be able to see the longest time it takes and the shortest time it takes. But the important thing is to get that filing in. If your child is under 21 right now and your child is maybe here visiting on a visa, adjustment of status is a real option. Furthermore, it will be faster processing times if you file it now because of the current priority date. So get on it. Thank you so much for all your information. I'm so glad that that can be helpful. Hi there, Veronica. It's nice to see you. And thanks so much. You keep strong as well. And thanks for 5.9K likes on TikTok. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing the live. Thanks for the love. I really appreciate it. It means that other people see information that can help them and empower them. That's the important thing here. Okay, I'm just scrolling through to look at additional questions. Okay, please. I lost my wife like 3 weeks ago, but I filed for VAWA already. What can I do? I'm so sorry that this happened. And now filing for VAWA, I think if your spouse passed, the VAWA will not be affected as long as you file for the VAWA before their passing or within 2 years of their passing, 2 years after their passing, within up to 2 years after. Do you still issue BFD and work permit? Oh, do they still? Okay, do they still? Okay, I'm back on Instagram. I really need your help. Mark, give us a call and book that appointment. It has to be booked, but yes, I agree. You do need our help. So give us a call and let's talk. I'm currently going to Mackinac Island on my H-2B program, and I don't even know the faith of that because she said that I married her to get a green card and she's lying. I have all the proof. Yes, it's when you start hearing them saying that, it's urgent. It means that they're probably getting ready to go tell immigration that, and that can open up a can of worms, open up a fraud investigation, and before you know it, it's hard for you to even convince them that you do qualify for VAWA. Make sure you're documenting everything, keeping all your communications with them so that you can show your side as well. But it's urgent. When that's the thing with VAWA, T visa, it allows you to position yourself as the victim here, so that immigration understands that you were the one that was subjected to mistreatment and not the other way around. Because the U.S. citizen relative or spouse will try that. Can I send my telephone number to you so you could call me? Yes, go. You can DM us and send us your contact information, and we'll be more than happy to give you a call. You can do that right now, actually. All right. Let's go TikTok. More questions. Let's go to more questions. Um, my daughter's 12 and she overstayed, but my spouse won't file for her. What do I do? I have a conditional green card. So let's talk. I want to hear more. So give us a call and let's talk. I want to understand, how is it that you have a spouse who has a 12-year-old stepchild here and they will not file papers? They will not look out for their own stepchild's best interest. That's a red flag to me. And I want to hear more about what you're going through, because your child can actually possibly apply for their own green card. I mean, we would do it and you would be sign off on the paperwork, of course, but that she can actually have her own petition going. But I need to understand what the context is, right? Usually it's a red flag. If you have a spouse, or you have a parent, or you have an adult child who is not looking out for your best interest, they have it within their power to file for you, they're not doing it, it's that's a red flag. Usually it means that they love the control that they have, and so they want to keep that control by not empowering you to go through the immigration process legally. So give us a call. That's where you look out for your best interests and we can talk. It's confidential. If we have to start a process for your daughter, it's confidential. Can you explain about USCIS asylum, NONC Pro, TONC processing? So usually if there's an issue, so that terminology usually means if there's an issue that came up, that was sort of beyond, out of your control, then you can ask them to go backwards and make a decision, reverse their decision because of that issue. So usually that's what that means. My son is 14 and has a green card. Can I apply for his passport as a US citizen parent? Yes. So while I'm not your attorney, I can't give you specific legal advice. Usually what happens is when you become a US citizen, any children that you have who are under 18 who are here on legal status will automatically become US citizens as well. So applying for their passport can be a way to get proof of that citizenship, without necessarily going for the certificate of citizenship. But keep in mind, it's always best to have that certificate of citizenship as well. Passport may not be enough, especially during these times. I only have 10 days. I'm supposed to file a document, but before the 21st of this month. Okay, so this is where don't wait. If you have a deadline, guys, make sure you're on top of it. Thanks so much, Mel Salvation. Have a blessed Friday and a blessed weekend as well. Don't wait, guys. And this is another, this is where I want to make the point. Why you need to get an attorney at the beginning of your filing to file your case. Because when you get a request for evidence, it means that you're on limited time. You have 30 days to answer that. And when you see a request for evidence, sometimes it's even a lot. It may take weeks for the attorney to prepare it, to make it effective, make sure it's effective, and make sure it has a likelihood of success. If you are now scrambling in the middle of your process to find an attorney for something so important, you are at serious risk for facing a denial and losing your investment in the first place. So no case is simple now. Get an attorney at the forefront so that you don't have to scramble and panic about getting this correspondence from immigration that has a tight deadline. When what is different about our firm is we provide continuous representation and support to our clients through the entire process. That is not a typical way of representation. Oftentimes, the attorneys will file, and the client has to pay more money in order to maybe get answers to their questions or to get some additional filings. Our fee includes everything in the case and right up until the end of the process. So if we get a request for evidence, we don't stop to say to the client there's going to be extra money. We already know what we have to do. We jump into action. We get this our request for evidence filed so that our clients still continue to have a good chance at succeeding. So get the attorney. Now, in your case where you're saying you only have 10 days to respond, I don't this is where, yeah, you definitely, there may be a way you can apply, you may be able to apply from scratch again, but, you know, it's definitely hard when you're on a tight deadline. You only have 10 days to reply. And I don't know what this is. So, guys, please take that as a lesson, please, that you can have emergencies like this. And if you don't have an attorney, we're all very busy. Immigration attorneys are very busy right now. And so to jump up on a whim to do a request for evidence or any kind of correspondence with immigration is difficult, right? Because right now I prioritize my clients that I have right now. How can you remove an H-2B off your process? Not sure what that means. I guess you'd have to talk to the employer if you don't want to proceed with an H-2B process. All right. Well, messages are coming in, 8.4K likes. As usual, thank you for the love. Thank you for the love on TikTok, also the love on Instagram that I see coming in. It means that other people get to see this live and get information that empowers them. It's been 47 months of VAWA filed. When will it get approved? Go to uscis.gov, look at case processing times. If the 47 months is outside of their regular case processing times, you can do a case inquiry to figure out where it is. Sometimes that gives them a nudge forward in the case. What do you think about sending unsolicited evidence while VAWA is pending, prima facie issued? That's very specific and strategic. It's going to depend on what kind of evidence. Sometimes it's valuable to send it in. Sometimes you have to supplement the application. Sometimes it's best to wait on a request for evidence or wait for the immigration to ask for additional documents first. So it just depends. What's the current wait time for N400 for Jamaicans since we're in the 75 countries? So there's a confusion between the 75 countries subjected to the immigrant visa ban and then the 39 banned countries. There is no pause in the United States for countries that are on the 75 countries list. Only for the banned countries. Some banned countries, some of the 39 banned countries are in the 75 countries, but Jamaica is not banned. So the wait time is just like any other case. It can range anywhere from 2 months to over a year for citizenship. Are interviews still being done? Yes, absolutely. Interviews are still going. Yes, we're getting T visa approvals. Those continue to come in. So, what about someone on a B1, B2 visa who is in the US looking to do a change of status? Give us a call. That's very broad. Having a B1, B2 visa doesn't automatically entitle you to a adjustment of status or a change of status. So, we need to understand, how do you qualify? Do you qualify through family, employment, humanitarian means? How do you qualify? You can't just come here on a visa and then just change statuses. You have to qualify in some way, and that's what we do in the strategy sessions. Is we find those ways to see, can you qualify under the immigration law. 9.9K likes. Awesome. Thank you for that. And thank you for sharing the live. I appreciate that as well. All right, let's go back to Instagram. Any questions there? I got through already, get my green card, but was stopped because I came up on an H2B program and it still shows that I didn't go back home. So you have the green card already. Now, usually, here's the deal: you must update DMV records. So if you are here in the US, you got your green card, you got your citizenship, you need to go back to DMV and update your records, go to Social Security office, update your records to show you're now a US citizen or a green card holder. How long does EB3 take? So it can take around 3 years. That's the processing time right now. And you can also go to there. All right, so I'm looking here. All right. Let's see. When will the pause be lifted? Well, we haven't heard anything yet. Hopefully soon. Can I get approved for a 10-year green card without doing an interview? So right now, especially when it's marriage based, they're doing interviews for those. In some cases, for example, VAWA, we've gotten approvals where without the interview. But when it comes to the marriage base, they're putting a lot of emphasis on interviews again. So it's more likely you will be put through an interview. Are VAWA interviews still going on? Yes, they are going on. So you just have to make sure you're prepared, you fully understand your case. So in these interviews, the officers, because here's the deal. Unfortunately, you have bad people out there that scammed immigrants and said they can get them their work permits and their travel documents. And what they were doing was they were filing fraudulent VAWA cases because they understood that by filing the VAWA, they were able to get the work permit and the travel document. Of course, that's messing it up for everybody else because of the kind of fraud that happened. Like there was one in New York, one big scammer in New York. I think I've gotten about 5 calls about that situation, and that's what they were doing. So be careful. Understand, make sure you are understanding exactly if somebody comes to you, that's why you hire a lawyer, first of all. But if somebody comes to you and say, I can get you your work permit, you need to question how. You need to understand what they're putting on the documentation so that you can understand whether they're doing it in some kind of shady way or they're really doing a process you qualify for. Because they are doing that and they're causing a lot of immigrants to get into trouble as well because of that. And messing it up for everybody else. So this is why they have the VAWA interviews. And in the VAWA interviews, the officers very much focus on asking questions that determine whether you understand what you are filing. Did you understand? Was there really mistreatment or abuse or extreme cruelty involved? That is why they're doing these VAWA interviews. When your case is at the NVC, what's the next step? So you know, if once your priority date is current, the NVC will then send you a message that they're ready to start processing your case. They're going to open up the portal for you to pay the invoice and the affidavit of support invoice and the immigrant visa application invoice. Once you pay and you sign and you fill out the applications with supporting documentation that they specify, they're going to spend some time, usually about 2 to 3 months, reviewing the documentation and then approving it. This is where you can't afford to make mistakes, because one mistake can lead to 6 months delay. And it gets very frustrating, especially when there's already a year to a year and a half wait time for interviews. But at that point, once they approve it, they approve the documentation that was uploaded and provided based on their specifications, they then schedule the interview. But keep in mind, the interview can take a year and a half to be scheduled, even after you hand in all the documents, which is called documentarily qualified. Can I get approved for a 10-year green card without doing an interview? So I answered that. Yes, it's possible. It's unlikely right now, but it can happen with some cases. Now, can Venezuela still renew DACA? So if now there is a pause for Venezuelans, and that may be what's causing the delay, but it does not mean that you don't qualify. You still should move to renew. It's just that there's a pause that's applicable to that country that's making it frustrating. If green card holder stays out over a year, less than two, can they still return to the USA? It's possible, but here's the deal. If you can apply for a special visa to come back in as a returning resident, or in some cases, some people have tried to enter, and if they have good reason, the officer might let them in. We've been seeing that. Or they may refer the green card holder to immigration court to have their green card removed because of abandonment. So it can take that turn as well. It really just depends. It's on a case by case basis. When you're applying for the returning resident card, it usually they ask the reason for not applying for a reentry permit to begin with. And usually it has to be a very good reason like maybe you got sick, somebody got sick, something happened beyond your control that kept you outside of the US for that long. What happened if you don't have much evidence? So a lot of people think they don't have much evidence, and they do have enough evidence. So what do? Call us, talk to us in a confidential appointment. We can tell you whether it's enough or whether, what we can do. Because sometimes it's about brainstorming about what you have, what you may not have thought about in order to move forward. It's all about action. Don't count yourself out until you have spoken to an attorney, and you can always give us a call. Okay, I'm on Instagram. Okay, I don't see anything on Instagram. And let me see YouTube and Facebook. So YouTube and Facebook, it's been quiet. I don't see much going on YouTube and Facebook. Any questions? Put your questions in the comments if you're watching. How long can the pause be for? So it's in right now they've described it as indefinite. So we have to see either litigation can get it lifted or the government may lift it on their own. What happened if you don't have much evidence in a VAWA case? Exactly. You may think you don't have much evidence. Evidence, what counts as evidence is your own memory that you put on paper in the form of your declaration. That can be solid evidence, but we need to talk to you to understand how can we help you with that process, because a lot of people count themselves out before they even talk to an attorney. So don't be that person. You could be foregoing an opportunity to get your papers, take control of your process, and get protection here. I got deported and I have SIJS approved. Can I do something? So it depends on what order that took place. Was the SIJS approved and then deported, or deported and approved and then the SIJS was approved? What stage were you in the process? Have you already filed documentation? It may be possible, but we need to get more facts to be able to advise. So you can always give us a call. Do parents sponsored by USA 21-year-olds typically must go to the interview? Yes. It should be anybody, children are considered under 21 and they get a faster process. Are VAWA interviews still going on? Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Roger. I appreciate that. I appreciate you watching as well. Do you think there's a chance this pause can be lifted in June? Apparently, they overlook I guess they review it every 6 months. Possibly, we have to be hopeful. But what I am warning everybody about is do not file your case because of don't refrain from filing your case because of the pause. You may think that the pause means that you can't apply, and that's not true. So you can miss the opportunity to qualify. So still move forward with applying and wait for the pause to be lifted. I have a sister here. She's not married as yet. The man mistreat her bad. What can she do? Give us a call. We also have found solutions. So we have found solutions for our clients who have been in this exact same situation. We need to understand to what extent was the mistreatment, what did he do, and then we can find an option. For example, the T visa is a good option. We've gotten it approved in situations like that. But we need to understand the facts to be able to determine whether it would qualify the client for it. So give us a call and let's talk. That's the most important thing. That's where you can take action that can move your case in a life-changing direction. Here is good to get good information, but taking action is going to be key. My son is a US citizen and applied for me. The application was approved in 2024. But as the process go on, I provide the necessary documents, but get the I-485 and I-131 denied, but the work permit application. So give us a call. Yeah, something went wrong there, and we need to understand what went wrong. It might have been the timing of the application. So let's talk about it and just understand what's going on. It may have been your entry into the country. We need to get additional facts to determine why the I-485 was denied. Married but wife is delaying submitting the documents. What can I do? Anytime I hear that, guys, you have a spouse who's supposed to be looking out for your best interest. They're supposed to have your back. And they're the ones that are delaying the immigration process. They should be the first people running to file the application because they want to see their spouse safe. That's a red flag. And that's telling me that there is something going on that may qualify you to apply for special relief on your own, right? Where you can take control of the process. Don't, if your spouse is doing this to you, where they're holding the papers over your head, they love the control. They're not filing the papers. They're milking you of money, right? Give them money for this, give them money for that, and then they're not or they're telling you give them money to file the papers. Then you find out that they bought something else with the money and they didn't actually put it towards immigration. That is abusive. That's mistreatment. So, I need to understand your situation more, but that's definitely a starting red flag. You're feeling frustrated because your spouse isn't applying. It's time to give us a call and talk about what you're going through so that we can determine whether a process can work for you. The VAWA process can work for you in this case. It does include VAWA. You can qualify for VAWA where a spouse is refusing to help you to fix your papers, because that's devastating to you. It puts you in harm's way, puts you at risk, and that is a form of abuse. Okay, thank you for that, Roger. My phone accidentally hit the mute. So I was just saying 3 years and 7 months. Check the case processing times to see if you're still within the case processing times. If you are still not hearing, you should be hearing me now because I took it off of mute. So just let me know on YouTube, because I took it off, so it should fix it. Okay, good. I'm back. All right. So the question here was, the VAWA has been pending for 3 years, 7 months. Haven't received any news yet. Did biometrics in January, but no work permit yet. This may not necessarily be outside of case processing times. But keep in mind, I don't want anybody walking away short-sighted about case processing times. If you qualify, you should apply. There are protections that you can get while you're applying. So our clients get protections for the time that they are, like the work permit, the social, while they're applying, and that goes a long way. My husband and I filed for I-130 in April last year and I-485 in July of last year. We were scheduled an interview, but they said they have to reschedule because a file wasn't there yet. That was in November. So just check in with them, call and check in with them. Unfortunately, there's not much that can be done there, but check in and see if you can get that date rescheduled, or just to make sure that it hasn't been lost in the mail. Okay, let's see. Oh, thank you so much, Momo. I appreciate that. Okay. Hello. My wife got her bona fide EAD. She's the principal T visa applicant. She got it last month after 14 months. Do you have any idea when they will release EAD for derivative applicants? So they are processing the cases for bona fides individually. I would think if they were all filed together, then the EAD wouldn't be far behind. The other thing to worry about is whether they're going to grant it. It's discretionary, and sometimes they look at the background to determine whether they would. So it just depends, you know. So it could be delayed, slightly delayed, but there could also be a decision issue that they have to work on as well. Okay, that's gonna be it from me. Happy Friday, everybody. Be safe out there. Have a good weekend, and I may surprise you and come on over the weekend, but if not, I'll see you on Monday. All right, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, because that's how you're gonna see when I come on live, so you can hop on as well and ask your questions. The most important thing is take action. The first action you should be taking is talking to us or an, if not us, an immigration attorney about your case so that you can understand how to approach your case, be represented by an attorney, and move forward with confidence. That's what we do for our clients. So give us a call. My schedule is filling up very quickly, and I want to help you. So take action, call the office, get on our schedule so we can get to work for you. All right. Thanks again. 17.1K likes. That's awesome. Thanks again, guys. Thanks for all the love. Thanks for these great questions. And I will see you soon again. Bye bye.